Hello and welcome to the Spartans show on Sportanarium Online Radio. I'm Lakey. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Arv Me Too. Hello, Arv. Okay?
Hello, Lakey. Hello, Cathy. Good, I'm good.
Just like to say, Spartans is now happy to announce we're sponsored by Round One Boxing in Brighton. So that's a new connection for us, which is good news. And our special guest on today's show is Northern Ireland's only professional boxer, female professional boxer, should I say, Cathy McAleer. Hello, Cathy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for joining us. It's lovely to have you here. It's great to have you on the show. And we thought it'd be nice for people to get to know a little bit about you, because obviously you're quite new on the boxing scene, I believe. Obviously you've got a long history in combat sports through martial arts, which we'll touch on as well. But we thought it'd be nice to catch up with you, find out a little bit about you. What you've been up to in boxing. Obviously, I know we've had the COVID situation going on, which is unfortunately what we've been chatting to. It seems to be all we talk about at the moment with all the athletes we talk to. But before we get into that, I thought it'd be nice to. Whereabouts in Northern Ireland are you? And how long have you been in the boxing?
I'm from Belfast, so I am. So I'm quite close to the city centre, so not too far.
Nice part of the world.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It is.
I've been to Dublin. I've been to Southern Ireland. I've never been to Northern. And I keep saying to myself, I've got to get across to Northern Ireland, because I've had friends that have gone over there, and some of the pictures and stuff, they come back to the beaches and the scenery, and it just looks an amazing place to be, amazing place to visit. So I've definitely got to get over there.
Me too. Somewhere I've never been. I'd love to go there. I've never been.
It's crazy. I've been to Southern, but never Northern. Apparently, the North parts of it, are really beautiful. It's like, well, missing out on that one. Got to get over there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good place to visit. Yeah.
Got to get over there. So, Cathy, tell us a little bit about how did you find boxing, or how did boxing find you? I mean, you've got that martial arts background, but it'd be nice to kind of tie that in and figure out how it came about.
Yeah, surely. I started off doing karate from I was 8 years of age. And then I transformed into kickboxing. The karate instructor put me into kickboxing. Once two world titles in the karate, he said, I think you'd be good at full contact. So he introduced me to a gentleman called Billy Murray, and I fought 15 years for Billy Murray. I turned professional then in K1 with Billy, and I won a world title in kickboxing, and I drew for a K1 world title in the Ulster Hall in Belfast. We waited for a rematch. We waited for about 3 years. It never came. The girl just kept on avoiding. So it kind of got to the end where I felt I can't go anywhere. I've done everything I possibly can. So I was basically stepping out and leaving K1 and kickboxing. And a local commentator said to me, I want to introduce you to John Breen, a famous boxing coach. And he goes, I really believe you should have boxed. So he introduced me to John Breen, who's a legend coach that has 78 world champions he's trained. And from that day, John said to me, I don't really train women. And I thought, I wasn't expecting to train. I was just being introduced to this gentleman. And then John says, sure, come down Monday night and hit a few pads. And I thought, why not? Sure, I've left the kickboxing, I've left the K1, I'm not doing anything. I love martial arts. So I said, okay, yeah, sure. So I went down and hit a few pads. And then afterwards, he just looked at me and he says, so when will you be back? And I said, tomorrow. And he says, good answer. See you tomorrow. So I went home thinking, what just happened? Because there was two guys standing with their arms folded at ringside while I hit 5 rounds of pads. No one spoke. No one gave any feedback. And I went home thinking, what's that all about? And then that evening, I got a lovely text from him saying, pleasure having you in my gym. You have certainly potential. You hit as hard as one of my heavyweights, Neil Sinclair. I'd love to work with you if you want to work with me. So I wrote back straight away. Says, yeah, 100%. If you think I've got potential, I'm certainly up for giving it a go. And that's where the boxing took off.
So that was it. That was your introduction. Did you have sorry, Arv, you were going to say, do you know the coach Cathy's taught you?
That's what it was. I meant to say. I was quite shocked, and I was about to say, I remember John Breen because he had a few fighters in. Can't remember who.
David McGee, Martin Rogan.
That's right. Yeah. But he has also had a few fighters in England as well,
Yeah, John's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, I remember him very well. I remember him very, very well. Yeah, because I know he did train a few guy from the UK, but you know what? I haven't heard nothing from him for a while. So, no.
Wow.
He's still good. I would go up to the house and have coffee at the front door with him because he's a wee bit older. He's at high risk with the COVID. So I still stay in contact with him, obviously with his gym and stuff closed because of COVID. I just go up and get a chitty chat with him. It's great to hear his stories and stuff from the past too. Yeah.
I can say, Cathy, you know, when you finished your martial arts career, did you not have any amateur fights? Did you go straight over to the pro career? Did you go straight over to...
Well, I'd fought in the karate, so I fought from I was 8 till I was 25. So you're probably talking near 200 fights in the karate, and then get into the kickboxing. I fought for 15 years, so I had about 30, 40 kickboxing full contact, which is boxing and kicks. And then I went K1, and I had 10 K1 fights. And then literally that was me. So my boxing experience was my kickboxing and K1. I did a wee bit of Muay Thai in Thailand, and they'd asked me to stay out in Thailand and fight. But at that stage, I'd seen John, and I thought, no, I've always wanted to box from I was a wee kid. I used to watch Barry McGuigan on TV with my dad. I never got the opportunity to box. I was put into karate for self-defense, and then from the self-defense I was put into kickboxing and in the K1. So never really got that opportunity to join a boxing club. It was always, suppose, something I always wanted to do.
Okay.
How did you sort of find it, sort of the change from the martial arts?
That's interesting, because if you've been kickboxing and stuff,
surely
just going across into a different discipline, you know, where you're just using your hands, do you still feel that temptation? I mean, I presume, you know, you still probably keep up your training in the kickboxing side of it. Is it difficult when you're in that ring and you're even sparring and stuff? Do you find it?
The first time I sparred, I remembered thinking, whoa, everything's changed, because we used to set our hands to set up a kick, so you would maybe throw a jab so they move that way, so you would chop their leg. So I was thinking, whoa, this is all different. I've just got two hands, and I didn't have to look out for any kicks, so you weren't looking for feet as well as hands. So I felt like it was very like I had only two things to do. Whereas in the kickboxing K1, you have to watch out for hands, feet, knees. You're blocking kicks, you're taking knees to the face, and all of a sudden I'm just using two hands. So it felt like, oh my goodness, this is easier. But at the same time, it was harder for my head to calculate, right now I've got to think how to set someone up with hands, whereas I was always thinking about how to set them up for a good kick. So it was the mental change on making sure that I wasn't square on, I was more side on, because that was one thing. Coming from the kickboxing, you're more square on because you're blocking kicks and you're defending as well. It's a wee bit different. So transitioning across with John Breen, he was very good with me. He was able to close up things, whereas we would open up for kicks. He was able to close me up a good bit and worked a wee bit on technical stuff with me. And then I've worked with a number of other coaches since then. Kellie's been great. She's got me a couple of different coaches that work with me. So I'm in a better place now. I have a better understanding, a better learning of it. The first year was difficult, and obviously my first two fights, I had to go out and prove myself, because people were saying she's a kickboxer, she's not a boxer, she can't box.
Of course,
So I was fighting that battle. People were going, she'll not be able to box. So they put me in against a girl, and I think she had 14 fights in my first fight. And it was a tough war. It was like a war, and I thought, I cannot get beat in this fight. I took a headbutt in the first 30 seconds. I was sliced open. I remember seeing the blood coming down my face, and I thought, not in my first fight, no way. So I came back to the corner. Naaman McGee was doing my corner. John Breen got into the ring, and he looked at me, and his first thought was, because I was a female, he went, oh Jesus, love, look at your head. Whereas my first thing was, am I winning? And he looked at me, and Eamon pushed John and says, John, get out of the way, I close this cut. And he goes, you are winning. He says, and I'll get this cut closed. And I said, brilliant. Eamon, what's going on? He goes, you're winning. He said, just breathe, get your head back. Because I was dazed. It took a big clash. So I was dazed. And I literally got through the last 30 seconds with my jab until I could hear the bell ringing. So going back out, I had in my head, I am not going to let this beat me. And we got the cut close and I won the fight. But it was a dodgy one for your first fight.
That sounds like it. Was it a 2-minute rounds one or was it a 3-minute rounds? Because some of the girls...
The females is all 2 minutes rounds. All females, 2 minutes.
Because there was I can't remember, we spoke to a little while ago and they said, they did a few of them have started to do the 3-minute rounds.
Some of them have. Layla MacArthur from America. Yeah. She's actually fought 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, because all the title fights are 2 minutes. So unless it was like a non...
Yeah, I think non-title. I think the title, like you say, the title fights, they do the 2 minutes. But I mean, hell of a baptism.
With at the minute now, Benny Shad, if I'm pronouncing that right, and he makes me do 3 minutes in the club at the minute. So I spar 3-minute rounds. Right? Yeah. I mean, what from the kickboxing side, were they longer rounds or was it still sort of 3? Yeah, kickboxing was 3 minutes, and then when you went to K1, it was 5 minutes.
So, blimey.
Okay, 3 minutes. 5 minutes. K1, isn't it, Cathy? 3 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. And do you find the 2 minutes goes is it a bit too quick for you? This question
2 minutes can go really, really fast, so it can, and if you're behind on a round, it's very, very hard to track it back if it's a 4-round fight. So it can go really, really quick. That's the hard part of it.
Yeah, this is what I was wondering, especially because you've come from those other disciplines, you're probably to the longer rounds. Sorry, Arthur.
I always say, Cathy, do you find doing 2-minute rounds, it doesn't give you enough time, whereas 3-minute rounds give you enough time? Like if you're in a situation where you could knock someone out, if you had 3 minutes, you ain't got that much chance in 2 minutes because the rounds are a time. By the time the rounds,
it's more high pace, high work rate, speed than it is the technical. If you watch the men, they kind of take their time technically and kind of go around each other. Whereas the women just go for it, and that's why it's probably so interesting to watch, because you've got 2 people in the ring and they're going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean, when you talk about obviously the mixed martial arts background and stuff as well, because we spoke to Rachel Ball, and who's from your end of the world, didn't she? Rachel.
Yeah,
she was a kickboxer and stuff as well, and she was talking about the 2-minute rounds and how it was difficult to kind of adjust, because a couple of times she was saying she's had people going, or what she thought they're going to be going, and then that bell rings, and then suddenly that's the end of the round, and they've had a minute's rest, and it's given them time to then kind of recover, and then it's like starting that whole process over again in the next one. Really, whereas with that 3 minutes, that extra minute could make all the difference, because if it gets to 1:57 and you've got them going, then you've got another minute to kind of and try and end the fight, whereas with 2 minutes obviously that's taken away from you. I mean, what weight are you fighting at, Cathy?
I fought bantamweight for my first 4 fights, and the last fight I fought super bantam.
Right, so you were around those kind of weights, like the Rachel Balls and Shannon Courtney, all those kind of weights. Then
we got offered a fight with Shannon Courtney a week out of the fight, but I'd already signed a contract with Eurosport to fight on the first ever drive-through event. So we'd already agreed to it, and then Kelly says a week's notice isn't fair also. So Kelly made the decision with the team to turn that one down and say, we do want the fight, but we prefer to have the correct amount of notice to prepare. And we already agreed to Dennis Hobson would be on a show, so we didn't want to pull back as well.
Yeah, no, fair play.
I mean,
go on, Alf. Sorry, mate.
All right. I was going to say, have you got anything coming up soon?
Yeah, we're hoping to be out in May and then back out again in June. So I've had a number of fights cancelled. I've had 3 fights during COVID cancelled, and then we got the Dennis Hobson one. I basically had to travel to Guildford, and I went out to Guildford for 3 weeks with the coach John Edwards. And whenever I went to Guildford, I was staying in a hotel room, had no food, you couldn't go to a coffee shop, you were kind of defending for yourself in a hotel room with no microwave, nothing. And then basically fighting. So the prep wasn't the same, and usually you'd be in the gym every day, you'd be sparring every day. It was hard getting ready for that last one because of all the COVID, but everybody's in the same boat, so you can't really complain. It was good to get the fight. It was good to get on such a good build, because he put on an amazing show. It was in the car park, but it looked brilliant. It was brilliant. I'm going to let the dog in before he starts crying more.
No, go for it.
COVID
I can hear him at the door. He thinks he's missing out on something because I'm in the kitchen. He probably wants He probably thinks I'm eating.
So many problems. Caused so much problem for us this COVID, and everything, work and sports and everything. It's such a nightmare. It'll be good when it's all over and we can all get back to our.
Yeah, COVID's knackered up so many things, isn't it? It's just been ridiculous for everybody, but athlete, boxers, all of it is.
Yeah, it's been hard. So it has. I was in Guildford, based in Guildford, with a gentleman called John Edwards. I did some.
I know Johnny Edwards. He trains Laura Payne.
Yeah. I sparred with Laura, sparred with Ebony, sparred with a load of girls in London as well. Went really well. Great work. Me and Ebony worked together probably 2 weeks solid. And then with all the lockdowns, had to come home, couldn't get back out. So Kelly says, we need to find you someone local while you can't get back to Guildford. So she got a gentleman called Benny Shack. He's from Panama. He was number 1 in the world, whatever. He was pro boxer. So I've been working with Benny this last 4 weeks, and it's gone really good. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're getting the training in, which is the most important.
Yeah, especially when I'm stuck at home and you haven't got that club environment. It's been brilliant, and I've been able to spar a local guy. He's a wee bit tall and long, Wayne Farrell. He's 5'8", but he's pushing me, so I like that. And he can take a punch and he can give one as well. He doesn't mind doing it. Those are the guys who are a wee bit apprehensive at the start, but he's worked with me in John Breen's club from the start, so he knows that I won't push like him. Yeah, so it's been great. So yeah, it's been really good.
And I mean, we keep talking about Kelly. How did that be interesting how did that dynamic boxer manager?
Well, I had my first 3 fights in Belfast, and then I realised I wasn't getting the opportunities. I wasn't getting the fights that I needed. And I think probably a wee bit behind because they hadn't got any females, and I'm the first female. So I was really fighting for coaches. I was fighting for shows. One promoter says to me, you're lucky I don't put females in my bill. It was always a battle. It was always a fight. And I couldn't understand this because I've been in so many martial arts and we were allowed to fight. They wanted you to fight. So it was like a new thing, a new venture. So I said to John Breen, John, I need a manager. I need someone that actually wants me to fight and wants to push me. And John says, I know who we're going to try. And we were clashing our heads together. We weren't getting anywhere, and I was kind of getting a wee bit deflated because I was training so hard, but I wasn't getting fights. Yeah, so I was watching a cooking program with one of my clients in my gym, and it was Kelly that was on it. And I says, that lady was an ex promoter, a very big promoter with Lennox Lewis. And she says, get her out of here. She says, no, sure, that was Frank Maloney. And I says, yes, but Frank Maloney transgender to Kellie Maloney. And she goes, no way. And then I Googled it up and we were looking. I said, you know what? I'm going to tweet her. And I said, I'm going to tweet her and just say, can she give me some help? So I tweeted Kelly and I says, Cathy McAleer from Belfast. I need a bit of help and guidance. I need a manager. I'm not getting anywhere. 3-word titles. I want a 4th before I retire. And what do you suggest? Would you give me a couple of minutes of your time? So got a text back about a day later saying, tweet back saying, give me your number. And I went, wow, because I tried so many other promoters and didn't even reply to me. They didn't even give me the time of day. So I got a phone call from her, and I was actually at the Katie Taylor fight in, was it Birmingham, the big Katie Taylor fight? I can't remember now. So the phone rang and Katie Taylor was about to come on, and she said, are you at the boxing? And I says, yeah. I says, I didn't want to miss the call. I says, I'll phone you whenever I get out. And she says, great. So she phoned me back whenever I got out. And I basically said to her, how about, just come out of my mouth. I wasn't even in the head to say it. I says, how about you make me come back to boxing with Northern Ireland female boxer? I need a bit of help and you'd be perfect. My sponsors, It's for Women, a massive car insurance company. I'm Northern Ireland female boxer. And now you've transgender to be a female. I says, what about it? Yeah. She started laughing. And then I got really nervous. And I thought, I can't believe I've asked her this. And then she said, are you laughing because you're saying no? Or are you laughing because you're thinking about it? And she says, I'm laughing because it could be big. So she says, give us 48 hours. And she says, bring me back in 48 hours. So 48 hours, I was on a sweat. And I rang her back and I says, is it a yes? And she goes, do you know what? She says, I was toying and I was going, yes, no. She says, I'm going to do it. She says, I want to do it. I've read your background. and I've read what you've done, and she came on board, and that's how it happened.
Brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. That's really good, that.
And now no looking back, I presume, hopefully. It's just going from strength to strength.
Yeah. So literally 2 days later, she phoned me and said, can you meet me in London at the BT Sports Awards? And that was my first meeting then. I had 2 days to get a dress, get a flight, and get to London. And my first meeting with Kellie was me knocking her hotel room door. And basically she had a makeup artist that was doing her makeup. And that was my first meeting. So I was nervous, and we had a ball. We went to the BT Sports Awards and we had a great time. It was really good.
Oh, she's a great personality. I mean, obviously has experience before because you fought on some of the cards,
I did. Yes, I did. Back in the day, I fought on a few shows when it was Frank.
Yes.
Frank Maloney, you boxed a lot of shows when Kellie was Frank. But
yes.
And then Kellie took, obviously, when she after the Lennox Lewis, and I think there was a heart attack and different things happened.
Yeah.
And then obviously, became Kellie, and I think then she took a step back from boxing. So to get her on board, as the manager,
she
brilliant.
didn't feel that whenever she made the decision to come back, she says that she got a bit of excitement, a bit of a buzz again. And I says, well, I read an article that you said boxing was your passion, and I thought just because you're transgender, you don't lose that passion.
Don't lose the passion.
No way, yeah.
No. And if anything, I would hope, hopefully we're going to get to chat to Kellie at some point, but hopefully now that she's settled in as Kellie, and hopefully
100%
with herself as Kellie, like you say, you're not gonna, you don't forget your passion. So just because you've changed from male to female, it doesn't mean suddenly you go, I can't enjoy the boxing anymore. If anything, it's probably given her more focus now. She can probably focus on it more. So and feel comfortable.
She seems to be enjoying that.
Very brave and amazing. Because boxing was back in the day, it was very much a man's world, wasn't it? Tip my hat and kudos for it, and hopefully she's gonna help you with your career, which is the
she's been certainly good so far. So she has in terms of building a team. She's got me a sports physiologist, which I never had before, Joe Dunbar. So he does all my tests and saliva tests and blood tests, hydration levels before a fight and so on.
Wow.
So he tells me where I am, whether the cortisol level's too high in the body, whether I'm training too hard, whether there's too much load on. So there's no guesswork. He's pretty much very good. He's an expert, obviously, at it. He's worked with Kelly Holmes. He's worked with a number of big athletes. So that was a massive bolt on for me because I was a trainer and I did run a health club. This was like something that I love is numbers and knowing where you are and what you are rather than guessing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So he's been very good.
Fantastic. As I say, do you train? Do you do like sort of quite a few runs? What's your sort of routine? What sort of days do you train? And do you run in and you?
No, definitely do run. Obviously you're being a fighter. That's part of endurance and building the engine, they call it. I used to run every day, and then basically Joe took me on, and Joe basically ripped it apart and says, no, I don't think so. So I would do like a long endurance run, like an hour run, steady state. Then I would do your usual 25, 30-minute run, probably about 8, they call it 8 out of 10, the perceived rate of exertion. And then I would do like a sprint day where you're doing fast pace, maybe your highest tempo for the 2-minute round or sprints. So do that. We mix it up basically to implicate what you do in the ring.
Okay, so what about when you were sort of training in the gym? Do you do sort of a lot of
well, he has me doing so strength training for explosive power, so power cleans, stuff that basically get you off the line quick. So explosive work rather than weights reps. It's more like 80% of your max. So you're literally just you're not building to put on muscle. You're doing it for the explosive power.
Yeah. And how do you find that, like changing from that sort of training to the martial arts training? Because it's a lot different, isn't it? From training
because I've always been in the industry and I run Virgin Active for 13 and a half years. I run one of the biggest health clubs in Northern Ireland. I was always au fait with fitness, so I have a degree in it. I have a degree in sports marketing, so I always knew that the fitness element had to come with the actual sporting background. Obviously, the boxing comes first. The boxing training, the distance, the timing, the ring work, the bag and pad work. You can't beat that, but you need to build the endurance, the strength on the back end of it to bring it all together. And that's what I was always taught, for the other martial arts that I was in, and probably how you make that wee edge on your opponent that maybe doesn't. Eating right, sleeping right, and bringing it all together.
Sorry, guys, I missed you. I think my signal went. I cut out on part of you there, so sorry, I'm back now. But so I've just heard what you're talking about there with the endurance and the training, which is great. But what I want to know as well, Cathy, is ambition-wise in boxing. Where are you hoping to go? I mean, obviously, we talk a lot with Carly Skelly, who I'm sure you're more than aware of, who's Liverpool-based fighter, and she was due to fighting Amy Timlin back in February the 20th, but the fight was Amy unfortunately got an injury and had to the fight.
Oh, no, I wasn't aware of that. Right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. They were due to fight on February the 20th, but it got cancelled. I mean, would you see yourself, because obviously that's Commonwealth Super Bantam weight, and you're saying you can fight a Bantam, Super Bantam. So
I can go far down. It depends on where the matches come or where I'm best positioned. Obviously, I leave that down to Kelly and the team to decide. But I'm not in it to make up numbers. I'm not in it for the short time. I'm a lot older than normal boxers because I've been in martial arts all my life. I'm 42 years of age. So time's pushing on me, and the hard part is COVID's really held me back. I should have 3 fights done this year. So it's kind of really put a killer on the. We're on the journey. We went to Asapilla, we got a great win, and then all of a sudden we got 3 fights cancelled, and I was peaking, I was dropping back down, I was peaking, I was dropping down, I was peaking, and you know what that's like as an athlete mentally. It's telling on you. So I'm so excited to get out in May, get back on the journey, and hopefully May doesn't start. It keeps going to June, it keeps going, and we'll get a couple of 3 fights in there quick as we can. So that's the aim. The aim is for me is a 4th world title. I've said it from I came into boxing. I'm not coming in just to, if it didn't make it, I don't make it. I've given it a good go of 3 world titles and a drew and a 4th. I want a 4th world title and a 4th discipline. So that's what we're aiming for. That's
the ambition there. Yeah, brilliant. And I'm sure with Kelly by your side and your team, it's not beyond the realms that will happen. Like you say, it's just this bloody COVID will back off.
We've had a bit of a nightmare. So we'll have, she's got the same ambition as me, and we've got the same goal. She knows where I am, I know where she is, and that's what we're working towards.
Brilliant. And I mean, obviously, like you say, you're northern. I've got Katie Taylor, who's the southern artist, doing the show, upholding it for the girls on the southern side. Do you know Katie at all? Do you guys chat?
I've never met Katie, so I haven't, unfortunately. I've trained with her dad, Pete Taylor. I've done quite a bit of work with him. I've gone down a few of his courses and done some of his online stuff. So I've had the privilege of that, but I do follow Katie. Obviously, she's been amazing for the female sport, and what she's done, and she's the best female boxer around. You can't take it away.
No, I agree with you totally. I mean, people talk about Clarissa Shields being the greatest woman of all time or whatever, but for me, I think Katie Taylor's above. For me, she's number one.
Me too. My opinion also, I believe Katie Taylor is definitely.
I do.
Yeah,
really do.
100%. She's brilliant. Yeah,
just a great all-round character.
And not just to do with professional, but what she achieved in the amateur as well.
Exactly.
She's achieved amateur, and then that looks good, and then from that to the professional, and that looks absolutely fantastic. Achieving what she's achieved now and what she's done as an amateur. So I would guys also definitely.
And just before we let you go, because I know time's getting on and we've taken enough of your dogs there, and the time is getting on. I mean, we were saying just before we started the recording, obviously you've got your own business there in Ireland, and you've been working via Zoom. So do you want to just tell people what it is you're doing there out of boxing to keep you ticking over?
Yeah, surely. I run a business called MacFit. I basically train people in house. In the studio, I have 2 karate schools, and I also do the beauty and massage in. But with COVID, it closed, so I went online, took the business online, and I basically teach 22 classes a week. I take companies like Herbert Smith and Freehill I took today. It's a big law firm. So I take their global team. So they'll come on from America, London, Dublin, Belfast office, and I'll take them for a lunchtime fitness class. And it's quite fun because you've got them all online from all over the world, which is wow. When will I get the opportunity to meet so many people? So I realized there was a bit of a niche in the market there. So I started writing out the companies, and a couple of them came on board. So I train a lot of companies online and a couple of Irish dance schools as well in Scotland and England. So it was like a new business, new venture, and it's been enjoyable. It was hard at the start teaching online, but now my clients love it because they get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. They don't have to get changed. They don't have to drive anywhere. And they do their session in their living room. Then they get showered, changed, they're ready for work. So the convenience has been a learning curve that they understand. My God, it's so easy. Plus, it's cost effective. It saves them a lot of money in petrol and travel and whatever. So I would say it will continue afterwards, but it will be good to have people face to face in the studio again. And
can't wait.
I miss the interaction and people calling, and so that's pretty much me at the minute.
Well, Cathy, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and getting to know you just a amount of time. And from myself, and I'm sure I've as well, all we can do is wish you the
100%.
best.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, 100%. And now we'll be keeping a keen eye on you.
Yes, definitely. Keep the eyes on.
So good luck, and thank you very much for joining us. And we'll let you get off now and look after your dog and probably something to eat.
I'll take him a walk. He's gone mad here.
Oh, bless him. Take him for a walk. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, and take care.
Okay, see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye now. Bye.
Well, she's lovely.
Yeah, hey, funny, isn't it, Lakey? It's strange, to want to